Y'all okay if we get into the word tonight? All right, okay. I'm not going to read it yet, but I'll tell you all about it. My message tonight, if you take notes, is called Comfort or Calling. Comfort or Calling. I've never put a question mark on the end of one of my messages, but tonight I did. I don't know. I want to talk to us tonight because I think so often, if we can be real, we are hardwired to seek and to draw toward things that make us feel good, things that make us feel warm and fuzzy inside. Does anybody, I know it's an old show, did anybody ever watch Parks and Rec? They're like, treat yourself. I like to treat myself, okay? And if I have a night to myself, I'll maybe like draw a little bath. I call it a little sleepy girl mocktail. I'll do like melatonin and like sparkling water. Anybody else do that? Just me? Okay. You should try it. It's good. I'll maybe throw on like the new season of Bridgerton. Or I'll just like pray over the people who watch Bridgerton. Like not me. I know y'all are way too holy in the room to admit that you watch that. But I'll pray over it. That's what I do. So I go, God, I just pray over Sophie and what's his name? That their love would burn for each other the way that my love burns for you. No, I'm just kidding. But we draw toward things that feel bad. And you know what? All the guys, hold on, I need to talk to you too, because don't act like you're better. I know you look to your neighbor, you're like, why do they watch that? That's evil. I can't believe that. But y'all are sitting like watching cowboys and explosions and the cartels and stuff. That's what you like to watch. And if you're proud of that, I'm just saying, God's probably not proud of that either. I'm just saying, but we like what feels good. What do you have to say? That's what I thought. No, I'll give you guys another example. This one's toward me. I have this little like voice in my head, and maybe you guys can relate, that it always hits me on like a Tuesday night when I'm leaving at like 10 or 11, and it's like, you worked really hard today. You deserve McDonald's, a milkshake. And I'm like, oh, you're right, I do. Or it's like, you ate a light lunch and there's air at the top of the bag so you can finish the whole bag of chips. It's like, yeah, I can. You're right. But it's like also like God wants to bless you, so if he put that donut in front of you, it would be rude to not eat it, Like he likes when we delight in a good thing, right? It's that little voice in me. It's like, no, we like good things. That little voice in my head, if she were to take form, she'd be maybe looking like she ate the real Lauren. I don't know. But we like what, I'm sorry. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry immediately. Boom. Can't be mad no more. No, we like what feels good. We're hardwired to seek what makes us feel good, and that's okay. But on the other side of it, on the flip side, we also run from what doesn't make us feel good, right? We run from things that make us uncomfortable. We run from rejection. We run from loss. And if we're honest, we run from anything that threatens our comfort. And I was reading in my Bible in January when we were fasting as a church, and I was reading John, and a lot of it was familiar to me, but something actually stuck out that I had, never seen before, never heard before, and it was really, really cool. I actually had to, go fact check it, and then I had to ask Pastor Luke about it. Who's thankful for Pastor Luke, by the way? I forgot to even shout him out. If I offended you tonight, come back next week. He will be preaching. He's amazing. And he loves y'all so much, but I had to fact check it with Pastor Luke. I was like, have you seen this in the Bible? Because I swear it's in there for the first time in mine. And we'll read it together, but this is kind of what stuck out to me when I was reading it, is that sometimes the very things that we run from, pain, loss, discomfort, rejection, is the exact same thing that God uses to push us closer to the plan that he has for our life. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. It's in John chapter 6, and I'm going to start reading in verse 60. And forgive me if I seem illiterate up here. I brought the Bible that has my microscopic text today, and I am a good reader, but y'all wouldn't believe me. It says in verse 60, when many of his disciples heard it, they said, "This is a hard saying. Who can listen to it?" But Jesus, knowing in himself that his disciples were grumbling about this, said to them, "Do you take offense at this? Then what if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh is no help at all. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life, but there are some of you who do not believe." And Jesus knew from the beginning who those were who did not believe and who it was who would betray him. And he said, "This is why I told you that no one can come to the Father unless it's through me." After this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer wanted to walk with him. That was the verse that stuck out. Many of his disciples turned back and no longer wanted to walk with him. So Jesus said to the 12 that stayed, "Do you want to go away as well?" Simon Peter answered him, "Lord, to whom shall we go?" Other translations say, "Lord, where would we go? You have the words of eternal life." And I'd never seen that before. It had never occurred to me, I had never ever seen it in Scripture, that Jesus actually had more disciples than the 12. We always hear about Jesus and his 12 disciples. We hear about Simon Peter. We hear about, the guy that betrayed him. We hear about Judas. We hear about, this guy and that guy. But we never hear about all the people that were his disciples that decided to turn away and leave. These weren't strangers. These weren't haters. These were disciples. They were people who knew Jesus. They had walked with him. They had seen the miracles that he had done. And then they turned around and they left him. They knew Jesus. We're sitting here, most of us in this room, knowing Jesus from the Bible. We know of him through the stories that we've heard. We know his spirit, but we've never walked with him. We didn't see the miracles firsthand. They did. And they still left. And here's what happened after. 12 stayed, the 12 that we've probably heard about, and they led Jesus, and they walked with him, and this led to his ministry and the miracles and the greatest sacrifice that has ever happened on planet Earth, right? They knew Jesus. And what's all this saying? If you want to gain the kingdom, if you want to follow in the path that God has for you, the unique calling that God has placed on your life, you have to lose something first. You have to experience discomfort as much as we hate it. That is where God can shape you and grow you and mold you. So to follow in the path that God has for us, there's 3 things I want you to know. The first thing is that before you gain, you have to lose. Before you gain, you have to lose. Before you gain the calling, before you accomplish the dream, before God can shape you into the person that he's called you to be, oftentimes, we might have to lose something. It's loss, it's pain, it's discomfort, and our knee-jerk reaction, the thing that we all want to do, that our flesh tells us to do, is to run the opposite direction, right? One thing about me, if you know me, I'm a runner, I'm a bolter, and I don't mean like I run miles. I mean if something I don't like is in front of me, I run the other way. I'm like, nope. Somebody I don't like, no. I run from it. I do. I'm out of there. And we're hardwired to seek what makes us feel good, what is comfortable to us. But friends change, relationships change, careers change, and we all lose things that at one time were important to us. And Jesus is no stranger to this. Jesus lost people. Many of the people that were following him just up and walked out when things got hard. Their bellies, by the way, were still full of the last miracle after he had just fed the 5,000. He turns to the 12 after this and he says, "Do you want to leave too? Anybody else want to just get up and walk out?" He doesn't chase the crowd. He didn't change his message. He doesn't take it back and beg them to stay. No, he lets them go. And it changed everything for him. Why? Because it actually maximized his ministry going forward. Because before his ministry could flourish to its fullest potential, he had to lose the crowd. And as much as it probably hurt him, I imagine, you're just coming out of this miracle of the 5,000. I imagine some of those people could have still been lingering around. There's this big crowd of people that are just walking away from Jesus, probably talking about him. I don't like that guy. I don't like what he has to say. I thought he was the real deal, but he's not. He probably faked that miracle, right? That's what I imagine, and maybe in his head, he could have had thoughts of doubt, like, did I say something too soon? Did I reveal too much of myself to them? Did I say it too harshly, and that's why they walked away? I don't know what was going through his head. But I think he did know this, that not everybody is called to go into every season with you. the places that I'm going, the thing that God's called me to do. There's some people in my life that if they followed me, they'd actually hold me back. I want to be liked. I want to take people with me to where I'm going. I think I'm going to a good place, but not everybody's called to go into it with me. And that's okay. To do a big thing, you're going to have to lose people. Jesus, all throughout his ministry, had many seats at many tables, right? Many people who said, come dine with me. He sat with sinners, right? But at the end of his life, when it came right before the crucifixion, when he was breaking bread with his disciples and drinking wine with them and letting them know about the days that were to come, there was only a few seats at that table. And what I want you to catch here is actually twofold. The first one you're not going to like, so don't hate me. If you aren't the one following God in this story, if you are not following God wholeheartedly to your God-given destiny, the path that God has laid out for you, if you are not chasing him through it, you are walking away from it. There is no gray area. There is no alternative route. If you are not chasing after the path that God has for you, you're walking away. And access to his presence is not the same as alignment with his will. The second thing is this: if you lose people, especially when you start to act a little bit more like Jesus, this happens so often when we first become Christians. Hopefully, as we start to look a little bit more like Jesus, we start to talk a little bit more like Jesus, we start to say no to the things that are not God's will for our lives, and we start to lose people, right? But I'm just here to tell you that if you've started to lose people, that is okay. Why? Because you're walking in the right direction, and that loss is going to set you up for your destiny. Sometimes God allows the crowd to thin so the calling can become more clear. Sometimes it takes losing friends. It takes cutting people out of your life. It takes letting people who once walked with you walk away from you. Why? Because you cannot carry everyone into your calling. Before you gain, you have to lose. The second thing I want us to know tonight is that God uses discomfort to advance you. God has a divine plan for your life. If nobody has told you this, let me tell you, I'm talking to each and every single one of you. I'm not leaving anybody out, that God has a plan for your life. And if we're to be anything like Jesus, to walk in that plan, we've kind of got to let that pruning happen. We've kind of got to let that separation happen, that a falling away of people sometimes happen. We've got to live set apart. But we also know, we've talked about it, that we're hardwired to hate it. So a lot of times we're like, God, give me the dream that you have for my life. Lord, what's the plan? Who's this person that I'm going to marry? Give me this, give me that, give me that. But you don't know in your mind, you're going to be hardwired to hate it. Why? Because it's going to be uncomfortable. That dream that God has placed on your life, your flesh and everything in your body will tell you to run from it. But if we keep walking, if we decide not to turn back, it will clear out the dust in our life and the dead things and the things that cannot come with you. And you'll start to walk a little bit lighter. You'll start to live a little bit freer. You'll start to look around and you'll see people who you can actually trust with your life. God uses discomfort. He uses the pain. He uses the hurt when they walked away. He uses your loss, and he tees it up for your destiny. That hard message that he spoke that caused so many of his disciples to leave sounds like this: unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. He says it again: whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them. So Jesus had just fed the 5,000. It started with a lot of hungry people needing a lot of food, and there was one boy with a couple of loaves of bread, a couple of fish. He multiplies it to feed the 5,000, right? And they followed him because they received that bread. They were miraculously filled. And then he tells them, you can't follow me because you just like what I do. You like what I gave you, that's a good thing, but that's not enough. You have to actually want me. He's saying, I am the bread of life. Your belly is full, but you're missing something so much better. You don't just get miracles. You don't just get provision. No, he's saying you get me or you get nothing. And the same people that followed him and praised him, thank you, Jesus, left him. They wanted a miracle without the surrender. They wanted the multiplication without the cost. They wanted the moment without the intimacy. They loved what he did, but they fell short of loving who he is. And when following him stopped feeling good, they walked away. Before Jesus gained deeper loyalty from the 12, he didn't lose friends. He lost everyone that was there for the wrong reason. Jesus lost disciples, and what was left? The 12 who said, "Where else would we go? Who else would we turn to? You're all I have." Before you gain the calling, you lose the crowd. So to pursue your calling, you might lose some followers, but you will gain so much more in return. Jesus didn't need a crowd. He needed people who were aligned with where he was going, with his vision, with his Father. And sometimes God removes people not because you failed, but because he's refining you. He's clearing house. He's removing burdens that you didn't even know you had. We lose friends. We lose people that we thought were going to stick it out. We lose relationships and people leave and we don't know why. But our job is to not chase them, right? And if I can, I want to talk to some of the single people in the room. And maybe this applies to you if you're not single too, just an area of lack. But I think so often as single people, it gets a little bit tough because when you lose friends, it feels like there's nobody around. Maybe you feel like you're walking alone in the area of your future marriage. You look around and there's people who are doing life together and pushing each other toward the vision that God's called them to be. And it's beautiful and it's amazing. But I've kind of, if I can, I think I've figured out the cure to it, okay? That's a joke. I'm single. I haven't figured out the cure to anything. It's not, because people tell us so often, just stop looking and your person will come to you. Just like stop looking around. They'll show up. I'm like, okay. Or on the other side, they're like, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Put yourself out there. Just go on dates. Like, if that guy that doesn't really seem like somebody who you're interested in, shows interest in you, just put yourself out there, right? And I have a problem with this, okay? I'm not saying that those people are wrong. Obviously, I am not anybody to coach anybody in this area. However, the way I see it is if you're going and searching on your own, you're walking outside of his plan, or you're staying still and you're not doing anything at all. So the solution that I found to it, just walk. Walk in his light. Walk in the path that God has for you. Stop finding identity in being single. It's not about that. Walk in his will for your life, right? I'll put it another way, and I think all of us can take something from this, is when there was the Kentucky, I guess the regional blizzard that we had, and there was 6 feet of snow, it felt like. I am not very adept in the snow, I would say, and so the first day that we were kind of getting back to things, I was headed into the office, and I'm wearing 600 layers. I've got my big Ugg boot slippers on, because for some reason I think that's appropriate to wear into the office, and I know with all the snow that's covering the entire parking lot and the pathway that I need to get from my car to the door, I know that if I pave the way, I'm either going to get a lot of snow in my boots and my slippers, and I'm going to be creak, creak, creak all day long. I don't want to do that. Or I'm going to slip and fall. And so what I do, I find somebody else's little footsteps where they slipped here, snow in their boot here, so I'm just going to step around it, right? But what I noticed is that every day they kept stepping in the spots too. So then I kept stepping in the spots got bigger, right? The snow started to melt. It got a little bit easier. But what I found too is it's kind of the same way in our walk with the Lord. When you follow in his footsteps, it gets a little bit easier. The path gets a little bit clearer, right? It's dumb, I know, but God's saying you don't need to make your own way anymore. If you just walk in my footsteps, I'll show you the way. I've created a path for you. I'll lead you to where you need to go. And I know it doesn't look clear right now, but just keep walking. I'll make your path straight. Just keep walking. I'll lighten the load. I'll ease your burdens. Just keep walking. It's time that we get up. We need to quit waiting around. We need to quit crying, quit trying to find your own way. Just keep walking in the path that God has for you. Walk until you get there. God uses discomfort to advance you. The third thing, you have to be sold out to the mission. I said it earlier, and I will say it again. God has a plan for your life, a unique plan designed for you for your life. He has a destiny for you. He has good plans for you. Forget your dreams, forget your goals. He's already promised you immeasurably more than you could ever ask, think, or imagine. But you have to be sold out to that mission. And the enemy's number one goal is distraction. If you take Jesus, it's obvious that he was sold out to his mission, right? He was God as much as he was man, equally as much as he was man. And it's obvious that he was sold out to his mission, but before the mission, before the miracles, before John chapter 6, you see him tempted. And right after his baptism, before his ministry had really even started, right after heaven opens and the Father says, "This is my Son who I love and I'm well pleased with him," he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. And it's here that Satan tempts him. One of the things that he says, we're not going to go through all of them, is turn these stones into bread. You're hungry. He's been fasting in the wilderness. He's weak. He needs comfort. And notice this, Satan never tempted Jesus with something evil. Not once. He tempted him with good things obtained the wrong way. Comfort without obedience. He tempted him with shortcuts. And of course, Jesus refuses. Why? Because he's sold out to the mission. But fast forward to John chapter 6, way before he gained the loyalty of the 12, before the miracles in the ministry, he actually had to resist the enemy's offer. Before the church multiplied in Acts, right after that, the crowd shrank in John. And it is the same for us. The enemy knows that God has good plans for each of us, but he also knows that he doesn't need to destroy us to get us away from that plan. He just needs to distract us. He needs to get you to choose comfort. He offers you bread without obedience. And you're saying, "Lauren, I would never listen to Satan." Okay. But how many times have you chosen comfort over your calling? How many times have you let that relationship that felt good pull you away from your purpose? How often have you let yourself get distracted? Because that's what it looks like. And if he can't make you evil, he's going to make you busy. And if he can't make you sinful, he's going to make you distracted. The enemy does not need to destroy you. He needs to distract you. And slowly, quietly, you'll turn around and you're like, I don't even remember where my path is. I don't even remember why I started walking in the first place. Where am I going? He doesn't need to bring you back to the life that you lived before Jesus. He just needs to make you forget why you started walking. And we get uncomfortable. And when we do, what do? We try to fill it with what feels good. It's more this, more that, more people that make me feel good, more parties where I can just shut it off for a minute, more drinking, more smoking, more sex, more pornography, more. I need this, I need that, I want this, I want that, I feel, me. That's the lie of the enemy. All because we're uncomfortable. The greatest lie that you could ever believe is that more is better because it feels good. And I think that we can even go a short step further. We've said it, we are wired to chase things that make us feel good. We're wired to be consumers. So if we're not careful, and hear me when I say this, if we're not careful, sometimes we can take that spirit of more, the way that we're kind of hardwired to seek that, and if we're not careful when we become Christians, we can almost take that into our relationship with God. And I'll lay it out like this, and I know some people aren't going to like this one, but that's okay, because if y'all let me preach, I'll do the preaching, okay? But if I've seen it this way, it's that I've met too many people, I've been friends with too many people that believed this lie. And do you know where they are now? Nowhere near church. They won't step foot in it. And it sounds like this. I go to church on Sunday here, but I go to this young adult service at church here, and I go to this worship night on Thursday nights, and I go to my friend's Bible study on Monday mornings and more and more and more and more. And it's good. It's good. But there's a massive problem because we tell ourselves that if the word community is on it, and if you slap the word revival on it, that it's a good thing, right? But it's that spirit of more because, listen, it's not revival if it pulls you away from your calling. It's not revival if it pulls you away from God's will for your life. Your relationship with God, hear me when I say this, is not a buffet. Treating time with God like a buffet, it's for me, me, my, listen, is a really quick way to get spiritually confused. And it breaks my heart because that is the tactic of the enemy. He doesn't need to get you to hate God. He just needs to confuse you with things that look like God. Well, Lauren, I don't like that. That doesn't make me feel good. Okay, do you like the Bible? Because this word says to get planted. That the life of those planted is like living water. It's bountiful. And his word says, too, to go and make disciples. Well, when the disciples went and made disciples, do you know where it led them? The early church. And we have it so twisted as Christians, and especially as young adults. And my heart breaks for young adults, by the way. That we have a target on our back. The enemy uses it. He doesn't want us to hate God. He just wants to confuse us with things that look like God to pull us away from our calling. Satan didn't want to get rid of God. Lucifer in heaven, when he was up there as the worship leader, he didn't want to get rid of God. He wanted to be like him. And as culture, in our culture, it breaks my heart. I scroll through social media, and it's hate for the church. Hate for deconstruct the church. The church is the enemy. I don't need the church. I was hurt by the church. I don't need to go to church. I have the Bible in my pocket. You cannot be a lover of God. You cannot have Jesus in your heart and hate his bride. It is so twisted, and my heart breaks because we start to believe it if we're not careful. Go to Genesis if you don't believe me. We'll go a step further. Adam and Eve, they walked with God in the garden. They walked with him in the cool of the morning. They listened to God. They were planted. They were tuned in. And then another voice showed up. Did God really say? And he promised them more knowledge. He promised them likeness to God. More. They listened, hear me, they listened to the wrong voice once, and it was the fall of man. Sin entered the world. We have never been the same. Why? Because they listened to the wrong voice. Did God really say? The enemy's strategy has not changed. More voices, more noise, more distraction, so we can forget the voice that God told us where to walk in the first place. We can forget the path that he told us to be on the very first time he met us, that gave you your calling in the first place. That's what his goal is, to get you to just forget what his voice sounds like. Did God really say? I don't know. It's confusion. The enemy's number one goal is to distract you from God's plan for your life. And your number one goal has to be, I'm sold out to the mission. And if we look back at John chapter 6, we have to be like those disciples that stayed. That's our job, that said, I'm not going anywhere, Jesus. I said I was going to follow you, so here I am. Where else would I go? We have to say, I can't be confused. I can't be swayed. I refuse to go anywhere unless you lead me there. The disciples were the foundation of the early church. If you want an upper room encounter, how often do we pray, God, make this place like an upper room, right? What happened in the upper room was the early church. They gathered, they waited. He poured out his spirit on the room, miracles and signs and wonders. But listen, you have to follow him first when everyone else leaves. Jesus still had his Judas. He still had his Peter. The 12 disciples were not perfect. There was betrayal, there was denial, there was hurt, but at the end of the day, he still won. Because his calling was never dependent on the crowd, it was dependent on his Father who gave it to him. If people walk away from your life, keep walking. If it gets uncomfortable, keep walking. If you're distracted, you've lost sight of the vision that God's given you, can I tell you, keep walking. Because before his resurrection came his crucifixion, and before the early church came the crowd leaving. Before Acts, we had to have John chapter 6. And before you gain, sometimes you have to lose. If you want the miracle, you have to have the bread of life. You have to stay focused on the call. You have to be sold out to the mission. God, I'm not going anywhere. Why? Because you called me. You told me to follow you. Where else would I go? Who else would I turn to? Who else would I listen to? I'm staying close, Jesus.
Thank you so much for joining. If you enjoyed today's message, we know that there are many more you will absolutely love. Click right here to check those out. Thank you again, and God bless you.